Hello, and welcome to this collective reading. This is going to be a general reading, and thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I'm hoping, especially since this is not a pick a card reading, just take what resonates and leave the rest. So let's just find out what you need to know. This is a general, again, reading. I'm going to be using oracle cards first. We'll get some tarot and then close out with another oracle card. And then what does the viewer need to be aware of at this time? Okay, so this card says Scout. Challenging a fleeting youth. Maybe the inability to let go of something that was once comforting. We also have Forager, which says interpreting a revered wow a revered intuition, revered, excuse me, and then Birdwatcher, which is identifying a seeker's happiness. These are both grounding energies, and this is more of movement, fire. So we have fire and earth, a little bit of fire in the background there as well. Kind of asking you to, like this card suggests specifically, being an observer to yourself, to who you used to be as you mature and grow older and scavenge for, I guess, there's a way that you've approached different situations that is changing. And I think part of you wants to go back to an old way of doing things, an old way of being. And there's this intuitive part of you that's, it's kind of obvious that it's just not working anymore in terms of just your approach to a certain situation. And this says protecting a responsible intent. So being true to yourself in this situation, because I think part of this has to do with really trying to force something that isn't working. And I think through almost distracting yourself and taking a step back, well, you recognize that there's a strong indication of some forceful energy here. And it has a lot to do with who you were as a person, how you, and how much you've grown. And I think you might reflect in a way that it might feel uncomfortable, like you really want to return to an old way of doing things. But you've also matured a lot too. And I think that's something that sometimes you might leave out or neglect, just the amount of wisdom and growth that you've collected with time and as you've gotten older and again wiser. We have Justice and Knight of Cups. I think this Knight of Cups has to do a lot with your connection to intuition. I think Justice is kind of showing that it's okay to let go of these things that aren't working, that it does balance itself out. Like what you let go of, you get in return in terms of your ability to navigate the world in a certain way. I don't know, something about this reading has to do with the way you move through the world. We have the Knight of Cups, the Hermit. I think this Hermit is, again, something that connects back to the Birdwatcher card and even the Forager, where it's this is a very personal reading in a lot of ways. It's a connection to you. This is more your self-analysis, more of your ability to flow intuitively. And I think the only resistance is in just allowing yourself to do and disconnect from, again, more not just an old way of doing things, but a way of moving through life that has to do with forced energy. There's moving away from forcing something and moving towards ease and grace. And we have the Hierophant. Lots of major arcanas here. let's clarify all of these with the Hierophant, but spreading this wisdom that a lot of exerted effort doesn't necessarily mean good results. You could be around people that, I mean, I don't get that too much here, but there is this sort of influence of having to be a certain way, and you know what works best for you, but sometimes you abandon it just because it doesn't meet the status quo. We have the Chariot here, so justice, Chariot, a strong desire to move. We have the Heart Center coming through with the Knight of Cups as well, so stronger connection to the heart, and the heart is what's trying to guide you, and sometimes your mind can get in the way of that, but it's interesting. To move forward, you have to be still. These cards. Three of Wands. Yeah, this is a kind of expected movement, anticipation. I think that's why the Swan was there. Ace of Wands underneath the Hermit. More spiders, so you could have like a spider spirit, and then the High Priestess with the Hierophant. So lots of very powerful energies. You're incredibly intuitive, and you've grown a lot, and I think it's just kind of there might even be a secret in the past in terms of how you should proceed or how you should not proceed in a way that's a lot less strenuous, because none of these cards feel like they should be hard work, and I think most of that hard work is coming from mental clarity and your ability to focus. Let's just get the Oracle, but I mean, essentially in this situation, you know the way. There's just sometimes doubt. It's kind of like a spider doing its work at night. You do your work when there isn't a lot of other people trying to influence what you do, because in a natural state you're very calm. In a natural state you're very observant, and you generally value the wisdom of your heart center. That's really where your power comes from, and where the courage to go your own way comes from. And that might have been something that you've had to do, again, maybe in childhood or just in a recent past, where you've had to kind of, that's the only time there is force, is when it comes to going against the norm, to follow what you want. We have mimicry. I think this has to do with one of two things: an influence. Yeah, okay, very obvious actually. With other people, and I think eventually, especially with this Hierophant, that the roles will be reversed in whatever situation this has to do with. So more people are going to follow you instead of you following them, and I think you notice the discomfort that you feel when you try and kind of grind it out, in terms of especially like a lot of life purpose kind of in this reading, life purpose or work, in terms of what you actually want to achieve, what your purpose is in the world, and how you want to be known. And there might have been a lot of, like, as this card suggests, this bird is smoking. Like, what is happening right now? But that influence could be really heavy when it's been with you for so long, and maybe there was that point in time in the past where you tried to fit in that way, and through reflection you realize, well, those people had no idea what they were doing, and I did, and I still do, and that's kind of your guiding force moving forward as you become, a full embodiment of the Hierophant and the High Priestess. Fully confident in your receiving of wisdom from Spirit and your higher self. So hopefully this reading was helpful. I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.